What is up, guys, and welcome back to another Starfield video. And today we're going to talk about, or we're going to react to what the XCAST and over at Kind of Funny Gamings have to say about whether or not Xbox got snubbed at the Gaming Awards, and in particular Starfield. Now, I didn't really want to do this video, so we're going to do a reaction to what they have to say, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on it. But at the end of the day, even though these Gaming Awards are important within the gaming industry to celebrate and award the expression of ideas and the art form that is gaming, at the same time, these are all subjective. They are nominated by media outlets, and at the end of the day, like I've always said, a reviewer or media outlet's opinion on a game or an award in this instance should not validate your enjoyment or your love, for a particular game, or your dislikes for a particular game. At the end of the day, it's dependent on you and your enjoyment and your love for for whatever you like in the game. Now, yes, I know a lot of people are upset that Starfield did not get nominated at the Game Awards. Some of them have taken it very far, which I think is just ridiculous. But at the same time, you have these console awards that they seek the validation from these awards. At the end of the day, this is just subjective, man. But with that being said, let's see what they have to say, because I can make arguments as to why I think Star Wars should be nominated, and I can also make arguments as to why I think it should not be nominated. But with that being said, guys, if you enjoy these videos, hit that subscribe button, toggle that notification bell so you know when I go live. I mean, not live, or when I post a video. But anyway, sit back and relax, and let's see what these guys have to say.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Let's talk about it, guys. The Game Awards are right around the corner, and we now have all of the nominees for all of the categories. 31 categories in total for 2023's Game Awards, and there's a lot of love. There's a lot of representation from the big threes to indie titles. There's some great games here in 2020.
Yeah, 2023, for anyone saying that gaming is dead, 2023 has been a great year for gamers. Even though we've gotten some badly optimized games, I think it's been a pretty strong year for gaming. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think that the nominations at the Game Awards is representative of basically what he said, that it's showing a lot of love for all three categories, Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation, for all three platforms? Let me know down in the comments below if you agree.
That we're going to celebrate, and I want to talk about it with all of you. If we look back on a year of Xbox and what they've done in 2023, I think they've made some really good strides, some great strides, some would say, into continuing for.
Yeah, and a lot of people would not want to admit that, or they'd hate to admit that, but compared to other previous years, Xbox had a solid year. Yes, there's been some misses, without a doubt, but I think they headed in the right direction. We've seen from the showcase they have a lot of IP in the pipeline, and these IPs and these games takes 4 to 5 years to develop. So we've seen the fruits of their labor this year with some of the stuff, even though there were some misses, but they are headed in the right direction, and it's all about quality control from here on out. But I think they've had a solid year. They've had a good enough year, and they made some good strides, like I said.
Filling that picture of first-party titles continuing to click, and most importantly, Game Pass continuing to deliver. But as we take a look at the nominations for Jeff Keighley's Game of the Year and so on, I wanted to talk about a couple of those big nominees and see what you guys think. So we've talked about it each and every week. What are the big six? What is going to be this year's Game of the Year for Jeff Keighley's The Game Awards? We have the 6 nominations now. Are you ready for them, Gary Whitta?
Hit me.
Game of the Year, recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields.
I'm glad they defined Game of the Year for me.
Keep that in mind, eh? Game of the Year says the best overall experience across all creative and technical advances, or something like that. Keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind.
I was a bit confused about what the award was.
I like to make sure because I think there's some blending that Jeff Keighley does on a couple of these, like best action and adventure, best action game, right? Like
I know we had it at the joysticks. Honestly, as much as I was happy to present at the joysticks, the way they did their categories was very strange.
Yes,
and like some things were nominated in one category, but not another. Way we'd think it would be equally as appropriate. It was the timing of it was weird. I had to do Game of the Year for Nintendo, but Super Mario Wonder wasn't even nominated in its category, but it was nominated for overall Game of the Year. How does that work? Weird. I don't know. Yeah, this is a thing where you see it in different award shows, like at the Golden Globes, they have like best music. Remember like when Martian won for best musical or comedy?
Yeah.
And this is my problem with the Game Awards, right? I think that Game of the Year category should not have been revealed. It should not even exist at this point. Why? Because besides that category, they have the categories for each genre as the best in, the best in the action game genre, the best RPG, the best indie game. So it's just mind-blowing because if you have the best of each genre, the winner then of each genre should then go into the Game of the Year category, and then they should battle it out because then it is a fair representation of all the genre and games of 2023, the best collective 2023 games of 2023. You know what I'm saying? So you have the best indie game winner there goes into the Game of the Year category. Best RPG winner goes into the Game of the Year category. Best action game, best action adventure, best sports game. Then it's a fair outcome that hey, the winner of the Game of the Year beat all these other best games in their genre. Because look at this, for example, Baldur's Gate 3 was nominated in the Game of the Year category, right? But when you look at best RPG, right, in the best RPG category, you have Baldur's Gate 3 nominated there, and then you have Starfield, right? Now this is an example. If Starfield wins best RPG, but then Baldur's Gate wins Game of the Year, make it make sense because Baldur's Gate 3 is the more superior RPG game. So how is it then that if Starfield wins best RPG, but Starfield's not nominated in the Game of the Year category, right? But then Baldur's Gate 3 wins it. Make it make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So if Spider-Man 2 wins the best action game, it falls into the Game of the Year category. But that's why I say that the Game of the Year awards chose politics over the art form. Even though they are celebrating the art form, they're not fully celebrating it. The biggest game that got snubbed for me is Hogwarts Legacy. We all know that the Game Awards decided to choose politics over the art form here, even though the developers have absolutely nothing to do with what's the name, the creator of, the only thing tied to it is the IP of Harry Potter and Hogwarts and things like But other than that, the game was snubbed. The game isn't nominated for anything, which is crazy, it's one of the best games of the year. And that argument of saying that, but the game released beginning of the year, so people have forgotten about it. Come on, that's BS. That's just BS. Hogwarts Legacy is by far one of the best games this year. But I digress, man. That's why I say the categories in this award show makes no sense. He even said it himself. What's his name, Gary? That when he was doing the awards for the best Nintendo game of the year, Mario Wonder was not even nominated for that. You see how these categories make absolutely no sense.
Yes. What the fuck is that? It's neither one. Anyway, we see it every year. It's like, why is there's this weird, like, the categorization, because things don't easily fit into different boxes, and but you have to put them in these boxes apparently for awards, and it ends up with the kind of weirdness that I'm sure we're about to talk about.
Yeah, and that's why I want to talk about it with all of you. Make sure it's clear for everyone listening and watching what Jeff Keighley and the team put out there for Game of the Year. So you have Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Wonder, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Gary, those are your big six for 2023 at the Game Awards. What do you think?
I mean, I think this year, as much as we've said it's going to be hard to pick a game of the year because there's so many great games,
yeah,
I don't think it's hard to pick a top 5 or 6 because it's obvious what many of them are going to be, right? Alan Wake 2, of course. Baldur's Gate 3, of course. Spider-Man 2, of course. I haven't played Resident Evil 4, but I know it's very well liked. And then Mario Brothers Wonder and of course Zelda. Like Zelda, Baldur's Gate 3, and Alan Wake 2, I think have always been nailed on. The only ones that I don't know what the only ones that I've heard like felt like could have got in there but didn't. Street Fighter 6. Remember we talked about how driving racing games and fighting games always get kind of a short shrift when it comes to the overall award. You may be seeing that again here. Starfield, although I don't think there's necessarily that much of a debate, but like it was such a big game that prior to it coming out, I think a lot of people might have expected to see it on this list because the aspirations for its expectations were so high. And maybe Armored Core 6, but like what? I mean, what's
another game that got snubbed?
What's missing? Like what should be on that list but isn't? Is there really anything? Because it feels pretty solid to me.
Paris, what's missing on this list? When you look at,
you see, that's why I say these are all solid games. I'm sure I haven't played every one of them, and that's why I didn't want to do this video also because I'm all about forming my own opinions on games, and I obviously haven't played all these games, but that is why I say this category should not be there yet. This should be under wraps. Every winner of every genre should make their way into this and battle it out. Then it's a much fair award. You know what I'm saying? As in a much fairer process. This currently here is what is popular to the media outlets. But yeah,
this big six, is there something truly missing from this?
To Gary's
it's a
point,
strong lineup.
I don't think anything's
Very
missing. I would say the surprise to me was Resident Evil 4 because it was a remake, right? Even though people obviously really loved that game and wanted to play it, I was surprised that that made the final six. It would not have shocked me to have seen Final Fantasy 16 or Diablo 4 or
Final Fantasy 16, that's the other one,
or
Diablo
Starfield
4, so sure.
make it into there. I've obviously said on my personal list a game like Sea of Stars potentially could have been a Game of the Year candidate, but it being more of an indie title, I didn't think it truly make the final six.
But you see, that is BS. That what he's saying is BS. Because it's an indie game, it shouldn't be in Game of the Year? Why? So what you're saying is that the Game Awards and that the award for Game of the Year should only go to the top AAA games, to the big budgeted games? How is that fair then? If the Game Awards is there to celebrate the art form, if an indie game can then not make it into this category, then it's not a celebration of the art form. I mean, let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree with me? That's why I keep on saying the winner of each category should make it in here. And this should not just be nominated based on what's popular with the media outlets. Come on. Also, I don't agree that Resident Evil 4 is there. The reason why is it's an IP from 2004, 2005. Even though it's a rebuild of the game, it's an existing IP already. As a remake. Remake should not be in the Game of the Year category. That spot then takes away so much more deserving games that came out this year, such as Sea of Stars. Yes, even Starfield. Such as Armored Core 6. Hogwarts Legacy. Jedi Survivor. A lot of other games that actually came out because the Game of the Year is for that particular year, which is 2023, like in previous years, but you have a remake there from how many years back? It's not fair for the games that came out this year.
But I do want to circle back on Starfield, because when I think about the things that I've seen this week, people looking at this list and people being the most upset about it has been Starfield. While I personally just take our review of Starfield, just hear it kind of funny, just the various opinions. Between I would say myself and Greg are probably the highest on the game.
Yeah. That was a pretty good review.
And I think when you take just the general voting population of the media that voted, on these nominees, that's the consensus. There's a lot of mixed feelings about it. I personally enjoyed it. It has its shortcomings that we've talked about, but Was I surprised to not see them on the top 6? No. I think it's in that top 10 range, but to get to that final 6 of the game of the year, it's not a surprise to me, despite what I may personally feel about the game. I just think the overall consensus of it is, no, I did not think it would be on that final nomination list.
The only other one that I would bring up, and it's tricky, right? Because if you add something else, the question is, okay, well then what do you...
So you see, what you said now there, right? And that's why I say that I can argue for it not being nominated as well. Because look at the 6 games that's currently nominated, right? Those are all the top reviewed games of the year, right? They have the best reviewer scores, right? And Starfield is sitting currently now at the 83. Now I agree with the current score that it has. Like I said, it's a great game. I enjoyed my time with the game, but there's also shortcomings, and the reception to the game has been mixed. Whether you love the game or you hate it, it's been a mixed reception, and that is translating into the Game Awards and to the nominations. So fair enough. It's 83 only, and if you're looking at it from that aspect, then yes, Starfield does not deserve to be nominated, right? If you're looking at it from that aspect. So, because, I mean, we all know the game has been well received, it's been hated on, it's been not well received by people. It's just a mixed bag of feelings. And the media outlets that vote for these nominations, they probably felt that way as well. Now, yes, I will admit there were some biased reviews. We've covered it on the channel as well, such as Jim Sterling with that 4 out of 10 that dropped the score from, what was it, 85 on the Xbox, I think on Metacritic, that it went now down to 83, but the same way that these biased reviews to Xbox is also for PlayStation. That's just the reality that we live in today. But that's besides the point. If you look at it from that aspect, but Starfield does not deserve to be nominated because they're looking at the best overall rated games, right? When we look at it from a different perspective, and this is where I say I can also argue with Starfield to be nominated, why I think it should be nominated, is that as first of all, it's nominated for best RPG. Right now, like I said, each winner of each genre should then go into the Game of the Year nominations. Right? So if Starfield must win best RPG, right, that means that according to the awards that Starfield is in a better game than Baldur's Gate 3. And therefore it should go to the Game of the Year nominations. You know what I'm saying? Because if Starfield, and that's exactly the example I gave earlier, if Starfield wins best RPG but then Baldur's Gate 3 wins Game of the Year, make it make sense, because in RPG is technically, because in Starfield is technically then a better RPG than Baldur's Gate 3, and therefore Starfield must win Game of the Year. So it doesn't make sense, right? And then on the other side, the Game of the Year, right, describes it as the best overall experience on a technical and creative standpoint. Now, like I said, I don't like to talk about games that I haven't played. I like to form my own opinions. But if I go based on what I've seen, right? If we are nominating games based on their creative and technical aspects, then I'm sorry to say, but from what I've seen, Spider-Man 2 did not deserve to be in the Game of the Year category. Now, I know a lot of people's going to come at me, because did all the reviews not say that Spider-Man 2 is just more Spider-Man, and that they played it safe, and that there was no real innovation? That it's just basically Spider-Man 1 with better textures and resolutions now? And if we're talking about the game being innovation, are we then saying that that what was innovative there was the fast travel system, the gliding mechanics, the portal hopping? Was that innovation enough? Because if we're saying that, right, then Starfield's shipbuilding mechanics, Starfield's innovation to where they actually made the game look beautiful. Now, I know we're not talking about the bug-eyed NPCs. We're talking about the textures and details in the items, the environments and things like that. The refined mechanics in gunplay and things like that. Is that then also not innovation enough for Starfield to then be nominated? You see what I'm saying? Now, I know a lot of people's going to come to the comments, this and that. Think about it objectively. Think about it critically. If they're going on the best overall experience in a technical and creative, especially the word creative, Starfield is, if not the only new IP this year. I could be wrong. I mean, not technically the only new IP. The Sea of Stars in it as well. But look at the category of the Game of the Year nominations. They're all sequels, even remakes there. You know, where's Hogwarts Legacy, which was okay, it's from an existing IP, but it was the first game, like, it was unique. Starfield, Sea of Stars. Where are those games? So the Game Awards is therefore not celebrating the art form again, where there is the expression of new intellectual property, the new expression of new forms of art. So you see how the Game Awards also full of BS. Yeah, but let me know if you agree down in the comments. I probably now I'm going to get a lot of hate for what I said about Spider-Man 2. But that is based on from everything I've seen. Right? I'm pretty sure I'm going to love the game when it comes out on PC because I've been excited for it. And I love the first one and Miles Morales. So, with that being said, man, let's continue with the video.
You take it out, right? And the problem is they're all so worthy.
Mention was Jedi Survivor. That's another one as well that in any other year you absolutely would have seen it in that top 6 list, but there's just so many games.
It's such a stacked year.
And that's also similar with Diablo 4. Like, it launched with a lot of tech problems for a varying amount of people as well. So that's another one that people just think about, like the launch and how it ran and stuff.
Yeah, especially.
Okay, interesting enough. Okay, so what he's saying there is why Diablo 4 and Jedi Survivor was like not in the discussion for Game of the Year is because of the technical issues. Again, coming back to Spider-Man 2, none of the reviewers raised any issues with regards to the bugs, and yet when the game officially launched for everybody, we saw the bugs. A blind person can see it. And without being biased, everyone saw the bugs, yet no one raised the bugs about Spider-Man 2. So if we're talking about Jedi Survivor and Diablo 4 games and that had technical issues not being nominated because of that, why Spider-Man 2 in the discussion? I get it, it's popular, but come on. Think about it critically, guys. If we go into... I've seen live streams where people's PlayStations were completely just shutting down because of Spider-Man, where people couldn't progress further. They swing into buildings, they just can't progress further. Yet none of the reviews of major outlets that made any mention of the bugs in that. So why Spider-Man 2 getting a pass, but other games were completely just torn apart? But yeah, man, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Do I think Starfield was snubbed? No, not really, because the way they're going about it is how the Gaming Awards is going about it is that it was nominated purely, that the nominations there are purely for the most highly rated and most popular games for 2023. And Starfield does not fall in the category because it had a mixed reception. And whether you love that game, I don't think it should dictate your enjoyment of the game. If you love the game, love the game. Even because it didn't get nominated, don't let it affect your enjoyment of the game. It is what it is. But like I said, going forward, Xbox needs to exercise better quality control with these games, because things like we're seeing now with DLSS and FOV sliders, things only being added now, should have been a day one. And I think it is things like that also hurt Starfield. It hurt the overall rating of Starfield as a whole. Despite its other shortcomings, I think that also hurt its overall rating. So Xbox has to pull up their pants, and they need to exercise better quality control, man. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Do you think Starfield was snubbed? Do you think it should be nominated in a D? Do you agree with the way I said the Game Awards should actually be set up? Because I think, in my opinion, there would be a much more fair assessment and battle between which game should be Game of the Year, and not just it being the best rated and best budgeted games, but instead the best of each genre, like they nominated in these other categories. Anyway, guys, if you like the video, do consider leaving a like. It helps me on the channel. Do consider subscribing and toggle the notification bell so you know when I post the next video. As always, guys, stay safe out there. Rampage out. Peace.